Welcome back to a very low energy and probably a bit shorter episode today, guys. I am feeling, unfortunately, a little bit under the weather, but I told myself there's no excuses. We're still getting an episode out this week. Uh, so, with that being said, I'd like to transition a little bit away from the growth mindset and the resilience that we've been talking about and more into an actual application of how we can set and achieve our goals. So to give you a bit of a summary, I'm going to start by discussing a bit of a framework that we can actually properly define our goals. It's known as the SMART framework, which is actually an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. I'm going to give you guys an example of what each of those letters of the acronym stand for. I'm going to give you a few actual whole examples that you can hopefully use as templates that you can apply in your own life. And then I want to talk a little bit about why goals are so relevant and pretty crucial for setting up any sort of ambition or progress in your life. So without all that being said, without further ado, let's get right into it. So like I said, to begin with, I want to discuss the SMART framework, which like I said again, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And I want to give a bit of context of each of these letters. So to begin with specific, we have to remember that it is very crucial that a goal should have no ambiguity. There should be no room for error or nothing that is left non-specific. Because when we're able to define a very specific pathway or a very specific end goal that we have in mind, it really allows us to properly set ourselves up for a trajectory that can achieve that goal. It leaves no wiggle room for us to falter or deviate away from that plan. And this is quite important, especially if you're like me and you have one idea and then all of a sudden it immediately distracts you onto the next thing or onto the next thing. So it's important to have that single target at the very end that you can say, okay, that's what I'm achieving, that's what I'm going for. And an example of this is saying, I will lose 10 pounds in 3 months by following a daily workout routine and eating a balanced diet. So there is no deviation from that because you have the end goal, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and then you have exactly what you're going to do to achieve it. I'm going to follow the diet plan and I'm going to follow a workout routine. The second of the acronym is measurable. And this implies that a goal should have a measurable sort of criteria that you can use to track its progress. Because again, there's no sense in having a goal or a target without any way to actually track whatever that progression is. How can you know that you're getting better at it if there is no sense of progress? Um, so an example of this will be I will increase my website traffic by 25% within 6 months by implementing SEO strategies. So again, you're giving yourself a target, an applicable target, saying that you will increase your website traffic by a certain margin, and that way, by the end of the month or by the end of the time frame, you can measure that against the initial target. The third of these acronyms, is achievable. So this is quite an important one as well because there is no sense in having a goal that's unrealistic or unattainable for yourself. It can oftentimes honestly do the opposite of what we hope to intend, and by that I mean stifle the progress that you could even make in the first place. Because if you're looking at the top of the mountain thinking, how could I possibly ever scale it, then it will stop you inevitably from taking that first step. So they should stretch your abilities ideally, but they should still remain within the realm of what is possible for you to attain. And for example, again, an example is I will save $5,000 over the next year by creating a monthly budget and cutting unnecessary expenses. This one I put in because it is very relevant for myself. I'm trying to save money. And I think that it's within my realm of possibility. If I am very careful with the way that I spend and save my money, it is an achievable target. I'm not trying to get myself to save $100,000 because I know that that's not going to happen. And I would only set myself up for failure, which is what you don't want to do. The fourth is relevant. So your goals should remain relevant and aligned with your long-term objectives of what you hope to achieve and who you hope to be in the future. And if they aren't, then that is a very serious problem because it can lead to severe cognitive dissonance where your actions are not in alignment with what you actually hope to achieve and do. So please keep your goals relevant to what you hope to achieve in the future and your aspirations. An example of this is, for example, if you're interested in the marketing industry, saying, I will complete a I will complete a certification course in digital marketing within 6 months to enhance my career prospects in this industry. So once again, you are setting yourself a goal that is in the industry that you are interested in. There's no sense in myself as an engineer saying that I hope to take an art course, knowing that that does not contribute to my necessary path and my aspired goals. So that's the next thing. The final of the acronyms is time bound. And this is also very important because if you're a serial procrastinator like I am, it is very easy to keep pushing back your goals and your deadlines further and further and further until they just never happen. So we need to set ourselves our personal deadlines so we can remain a little bit urgent. We need to keep that sense of urgency whenever we're working on something. Because I don't know about you guys, again, but whenever I have a deadline, I know that I get my ass work in as soon as I know that there is, an eventual due date to this assignment that I'm trying to work on. And again, if you're trying to, for example, write a thesis like I am right now, I know that I have to write a certain amount of words by a certain date and a certain amount of pages by another certain date, and that way I can keep myself on track. So those are a few examples of each of the individual acronyms, but now I want to give you a few whole goals that can hopefully serve as a framework for yourselves that you can use to model this. So I wrote down three different types of goals: one in health and fitness, one in career development, and one in personal finance. So we're going to start with the health and fitness, and the first is the specific. I will run a half marathon in 4 months by following a structured training plan. The measurable part of this goal is I will track my daily calorie intake, aim to consume 2,000 calories a day, let's say, and run a certain distance every day. The achievable part is that I will gradually increase my daily step count to 10,000 steps within 3 months. The relevant side of this: improving my fitness is aligned with my long-term goal of leading a healthier lifestyle. And finally, time-bound, I will complete a 30-day fitness challenge to improve my strength and flexibility. By doing this, basically, you are setting yourself a complete framework of what the goal is, how you're going to measure it, how long it's going to take you, why you're doing it, and what the end goal is. The second example is in career development. So this is probably a bit abstract for any of us in our age group, but I will secure a promotion to a managerial position within my company. The measurable part of this is that I will set quarterly performance targets and track my progress towards this promotion. The achievable part is that I will complete relevant leadership training courses to acquire the necessary skills to be in this position. The relevancy is that advancing my career aligns with my long-term goals of financial prosperity. And finally, the time-bound is I will submit my application for the promotion by the end of the year. Hard deadline. Finally, the last example is in personal finance. So let's say you have a credit card debt or student debt or something like that. Your specific could be, I will pay off my $5,000 credit card bill within 12 months. The measurable part is I will make monthly payments of $500 and measure my decreasing balance. The achievable part of this is I will create a budget to allocate funds or debt repayment while covering essential expenses. Relevant is eliminating debt is vital for achieving financial stability. And finally, time-bound, I will make the final payment on my credit card by end date, whatever that is to you. So I hope that these three examples kind of give you an idea of how you can apply this framework, and I hope that you can take it to something of your own, to a goal of your own. I also wanted to emphasize another key part, which is tracking progress is truly one of the most crucial steps in success for all of this. There is nothing that you can change if you can't track it. And this is something that's been drilled in through a bunch of schooling and my own personal experience, but if there's nothing there that you can say, you can look back on from the previous day or the previous week or the previous month or year, and you can see a noticeable difference, then you cannot effectively say that you're making change. So I really want to highlight that tracking progress in all aspects of life, whether it be fitness or personal finance or business or anything, it is crucial that you keep a tracker of everything. It really is also, it acts as a form of kind of positive reinforcement when you can look back and say, hey, 3 months from today, or sorry, 3 months ago, I've made a lot of progress from then, or maybe a year from today, I had made a lot of progress. So now I'd like to kind of pivot away into some of the theory a little bit about why goal alignment is so important. And the first thing I'd like to talk a little bit about is how when you align your goals with your personal aspirations and your identity, that it very much helps pursue your own passions. There's no sense in setting goals that really don't align with your soul and your need for fulfillment, because they're only going to hinder you from actually making true progress. And it can really help to create a sense of purpose and fulfillment when you're pursuing these goals. And the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is how the mindset that you require is very, very much similar to the growth mindset. And a lot of it dips into what we've also previously discussed about resilience, where when you can approach a goal like this through the lens of understanding that failure is a necessity, failure is inevitable, and to be able to get through it is one of the great joys in life, because it helps us really pursue something that is bigger than what we think that we can achieve. But the only way that we can do that effectively is by understanding that we are going to face some setbacks, and it's going to take a little bit of work to get through this, but we are able to do so. So it is imperative that we keep an open mind when we're actually pursuing these goals. The next thing that I actually really wanted to talk about, and I kind of hinted on this a little bit at the very beginning, is how important it is to not only set goals in more traditional spaces, let's say like your career or your personal finance, but set goals in all aspects of life. It might sound a little bit robotic and a little bit, too logical, let's say, but if you genuinely want to make noticeable and tangible change in all these different aspects of your life, then it makes a lot of sense to keep track of all the different things that you want to change in those lives. So if you want to make improvements on your relationship, maybe don't, yell this out to the world, but keep a tracker of yourself, of your own, the little things that you're doing in a relationship, or the actions that you're planning on taking, or anything like that, just even in your own personal development or with friends or other life domains, keep track, because it really can help you make sure that you're on the path to improvement and being a better person for yourself and those around you. The next thing that I really wanted to highlight is the importance of setting both long-term and short-term goals. And this kind of ties in with everything that we've been saying previously, but it is very important to have both a long-term vision that kind of directs your path, but short-term goals that are small enough that you can actually take tangible steps to progress towards that larger goal, if that makes sense. So yeah, you need to have basically shorter-term goals that can lay the path for the long-term vision. And it's, again, we can look a little bit back at the analogy that Z had made in the previous video about the mountain that you look at the peak, and it seems so far out of reach that it prevents you from even taking that first step. But when you're able to break it down into actionable steps in in a short-term goal, then it can finally allow you to take those steps that you otherwise wouldn't. Finally, something that I really I really struggle with, and I've wanted this forever, but it's all about accountability. So I feel like it is one of the most imperative things, especially if you're a procrastinator, or especially if you know that you struggle with sticking to things that you tell yourself. Have an accountability partner. Have people that you can confess or admit to these goals with, and then have them check up on you. I feel like it is the most crucial thing that you can do, to have other people being on your ass to say, like, are you still working towards this thing? Like, you told me that you were working on this project. Are you still doing it? How's it going? Like, have people that you trust and care enough about that you can delve into these goals and have them check in on you. There's nothing like having someone that can really be there to help you overcome those slumps of low motivation, let's say, and can really remind you that, hey, it's not about the motivation, it's about the discipline. Like, keep yourself going, you can do this. Those kind of people are really, really going to make an impact in how achievable your goals are. And this ties into the final thing that I'd like to talk about a little bit, which is how you can overcome obstacles and failure. Well, first of all, obstacles, we're all going to face them. No matter what you do, whatever goal you're aspiring towards, you are going to have to at some point encounter a hurdle that will, prevent your growth towards it. The biggest thing that we can do at this point is just take a step back and understand how we can overcome that hurdle. We have to remain resilient in our mindset and not allow it to get the better of us. If we can take everything one step at a time, we can overcome any of these hurdles. And it really is, it's very fulfilling when you're able to identify that, hey, you know what, I'm struggling with this thing, but I'm actually now expanding my horizons by understanding how to tackle that problem. And every one of those problems and hurdles that you face is only making you better prepared for the next hurdle, and then the next and the next. The final thing is also, how do we handle goal failures? And this could definitely be an episode in and of itself, but just briefly, there is nothing wrong with with pursuing a goal that ends up becoming a failure. Like we mentioned, every single failure is just another stepping stone on the path to success. And this is the mindset that you have to approach whenever you pursue a new goal, because it's okay if you fail at making this podcast. Then the next one that you attempt, you're already going to have all the expertise and knowledge going into it that you had from this first one. Or let's say you want to start an online business and it doesn't go well, then that's okay. Fail it, start the next, and give it another go with all this knowledge that you've built in before. Every single attempt will only build on what you've built before, and you are guaranteed to succeed at some point as long as you don't give up. So that's basically everything that I really like to talk about today, guys. Like I said, I hope that you guys can forgive me for being a little low energy, and if my mind is a little foggy and some things that I said today don't really make much sense, I hope that it still kind of got the message across. So thank you again for tuning in. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Sorry again. And I'm very excited to see everyone in the next episode. Peace.